Welcome to week number 2 of the Remodelers show. Said I was going to try this for three weeks, Monday through Friday. This is start of week 2. I'm having fun so far. Been getting a lot of good comments and engagement. Been hearing a lot of people who have tuned in, kind of not live, but after the show, which is exciting. And I got a nice show planned for today. What is the point of this, by the way? The point of the Remodelers show is to continue to give you encouragement, ideas, reminders, new teaching, new coaching, and just some oomph and some push to continue to become a better remodeler. That's how I would summarize it. And we start every show with a little intro from one of my lovely clients. So here's today's.
This is Justin Shipp with Meridian Design Construction in Ventura, California. And this is the Remodelers Show, hosted by the hostess with the mostest and my personal hero, Kyle Hunt.
Beautiful. Beautiful job, Justin. That was Justin Shipp with Meridian Design and Construction in, as he said, Ventura, California. Because he's West Coast Californian hip. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about him later on, but he was bringing the energy there. Hostess with the mostest, and something I didn't even know. I'm his personal hero. That is lovely, Justin. Cool. All right, we're going to jump right into the quote of the day. Quote of the day. And here's what it is. What's your frog? I don't know if he said it like that when he said it over time, but the quote is, what's your frog? Kyle, that's not much of an inspirational quote. You got to hear the context of it. So there's a guy named Brian Tracy, and he's a personal development guy similar to the Zig Ziglars and the Jim Rohns back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. And this whole concept of what's your frog? And secondly, have you ate your frog today? Have you ate your frog today? Here's the analogy. Let's say that you have to literally eat a live frog every day. Just let that kind of soak in. You had to eat a live frog every day. Brian Tracy's question is, what would you do? Would you just do it first thing in the morning, get it done, eat your frog, and be able to go on with the rest of your day? Or would you kind of wait? I mean, it's not a pleasant thing. It is not a pleasant thing. It's a very nasty thing, as a matter of fact. How dare I even bring it up during lunchtime now that I'm thinking about it? But if you put it off, you're going to be thinking about it. It's going to distract you. It's going to drain your energy throughout the day. And then eventually you got to eat your frog. The hook on this is your frog, every one of us has it, is the thing that is most important for you to get done today, that you're most likely to put off. The thing that is most important for you to get done today, that you're most likely to put off. To identify your frog first thing in the morning and to eat it first thing in the morning. You can line up 20 time management books, and boy, that just summarized them down in a hurry. A key part of time management. Identify the thing that's most important for you to get done and eat it first. Get it done first. When you eat your frog first, it gives you energy. It helps you accomplish the thing that would most likely drain your energy if you didn't do it. When you put it off, you're thinking about it. It's distracting. It's draining. And I don't think we give ourselves enough. We don't give it enough credit for how much energy it zaps. So eat your frog. This is probably a piece of coaching that I've thrown out there since early on in my business, 10, 12 years ago. And it's something that has been a recurring thing for my clients. Kyle, I ate my frog today. Man, Kyle, I got to get back to eating my frog. Or I'll ask just during a coaching call, what's your frog today? And this came up today because I had a big fat frog this morning. It's a Monday morning. I'm like, I'm going to put that off. I've got to get that done. And I ate my frog this morning. And it put me from a crabby mood into a great mood. So there is the quote of the day. We're going to move on to the next part in the Remodelers show, which is...
It's time for today's Marketing Minute.
It's time for today's Marketing Minute. It's a simple one. I'm very practical today on this Monday. The power of handwritten thank you cards. The power of handwritten thank you cards. Hang on one second. Looky there. Still thank you. And blank in there. A little logo at the back. Very nice, very nice. Something simple. You know what? I don't send these out enough. I have somebody sign on for Remodelers Autopilot. I sign on a new client. What a lovely way to start the relationship. Sometimes we do it, although Bailey does send them out to Remodelers Autopilot. Don't you, Bailey? Usually, she says. This is the first time we've been in the office at the same time in months. Handwritten thank you card. This can go out after you do your initial appointment, in-person appointment. You know, it could say simply, you know, thank you so much for the opportunity to look and work with you on your project. Really looking forward to the next steps and talking to you next week. And maybe just something a little personal. Nobody sends these out. When you get them in the mail, it's got a 100% open rate when you have a handwritten address on the outside. And it's just one of those things that isn't necessarily going to be the reason people choose you. But boy, is it playing a factor in, man, they've got attention to detail. They just care. They do the little things. So that is just a simple marketing / sales little tip of the day. Now, if you don't have thank you cards, don't go out. You don't need to go out and get fancy, you know, logoed up ones. Just buy 10 or 20 from Amazon.com or Staples.com. Get those. Buy a color that matches up with your logo. Put a nice business card in there. Send out 10, send out 20 of them. And once you've proven that you're going to do that, then go out there and get some custom ones made. So take some action on that. That could be a takeaway today.
Quick comment check.
Quick comment check. We got some comments kind of rolling in a little bit here. All right. John Clark, do the hard things first. Yes, indeed. Rhonda says, I am eating my frog right now. SBA's first. Dealing with the county on the UDA permit. Many more to come. And Rhonda, I think that's important is, you know, sometimes we do have several frogs that we're dealing with. And I think it's easy to kind of not really identify the most important one and kind of dabble with a few of them. Oh, that one's pretty important. And at least I'm speaking from personal experience. I can take my frog and kind of keep knocking it down because I'm like, well, I got a bunch of them. If you do have a bunch of them, it's really just important to just find one of them. Find one of them, only work on that one. And yeah, you can then go ahead and eat your next frog. Do the hard things first. That was John Clark. Absolutely, John. Cool. So go ahead and toss your questions, toss your comments in the old box on Facebook or on YouTube, and we'll keep on cruising.
Let's get some insight from a coaching call.
Let's get some insight from a coaching call, the man says. This is from a call that I had with one of my clients from Florida last week. I was looking back at my calendar, thinking through on Monday, June the 15th, during the Remodelers show, when I get to the part that says from a coaching call, what am I going to talk about? And I looked and I said, that's a good one. The whole conversation that I had with this client was related to who is our next hire? Who is our next hire? We dug into his org chart. We looked at all of the pieces that he has in place right now. And there's several different options that he's kind of taken a look at as far as what might be his next hire and what's the next big chunk of work he's going to take off of his plate. The one that's probably the leader right now is finding a production manager. He's got a staff of about 7, and we're just kind of looking through things, and that seems to be the one. Now, the next part that came up is I said, do you have anybody in mind for that? Tell me more about this carpenter that's been on your team for 8 years. Would he have interest in going from a lead carpenter, more of a project manager, production manager? And my client's response back was, I don't know. So here's somebody that's been on the team, I think it was 6 or 7 years, really solid carpenter. As he kind of dug into it a little bit more, he said, I do know he really likes to do the work. He does like the hands-on part, but he has expressed some interest and he's doing a pretty good job on some of that lead carpenter side of things and making sure materials are lined up well, of keeping an eye on the schedule. So the from a coaching call and the reminder to you here is, one, maybe it's that, let's take a look at our org chart. What does the org chart look like? Who would be the next hire? And kind of taking a peek at that. Always a good thing to do from time to time. But probably the bigger takeaway I have for you guys as part of this is, do you know the ambition, the desire, what does my employee thinking about wanting to be doing 5 years from now, 8 years from now, 10 years from now. When you have A players on your team, if you are not giving them a clear vision of their future, some ways that they could continue to grow within your business, to grow in different positions in the business, if it's an A player and you don't have any kind of clear path and you're just kind of keeping them right where they're at, there's a bigger chance that they're going to bounce, to start their own thing, to go somewhere else, to find a position that they are really desiring to grow into. So I think it's important that from time to time that you have these sit down conversations with your team of course, how is it going? But also, what is your ambition? What does the future look like? What are you wanting to become in the coming years, in the coming decade? And having that conversation is being a good leader. And it's also strengthening your team, it's strengthening your business. And I just see it all too often where that conversation just never happens. And we get kind of, wow, where did that person go? I didn't even see that coming. Or as you're looking at the org chart, even if it's not a thing you're going to take on right now, it's something that you can start planning for in the years to come. So a couple ideas there for you. Again, the biggest one, make sure you're talking to your team about their ambition and what they're wanting to grow into. All right, cool. Let's do a little Ask Kyle Anything. Let's see what questions we have in the old chat box. And I have one already kind of loaded up and queued up. Dennis Gaiman was watching the recording of last Thursday's show, and he sent and posted a comment there. So feel free to toss your questions in here, and I'll start with Dennis's question from last Thursday. And that one was this. How much backlog should we have before turning down small projects and only accepting projects that are $100,000 or more? How much backlog should we have before turning down small projects and only accepting projects that are $100,000 or more? So in normal times, I know Dennis's business, that's more the ideal project that he takes on are these bigger projects. With the pandemic, with COVID, with everything that's going on, he, like a lot of remodelers, have been a little bit more open to looking at more types of projects, maybe taking on some smaller projects. But his question here is, how much backlog should we have before turning down small projects? Depending on who I'm talking to, I would say, I know this for a fact, that some of my clients have more stomach for a shorter backlog than others. There's some of my clients that if they don't have very clearly 3+ months of backlog for their team of 6 people out in the field, they start to get nauseous. I have other clients that are like, you know what? I've got a good solid 5 weeks ahead of them. Yeah, I got some things in the hopper that I'm sure are going to fall into place. I'm feeling pretty good about the backlog. Some people have that attitude. The guy that needs 3+ months would just have a very hard time saying, what, 5 weeks and you're okay? What are you talking about? So everybody has a little bit different stomach for how big of a backlog they want. You start to get out there too far, and that becomes a little bit of a sales problem where some people might not want to wait that long. So there's a lot of different factors in play here. Dennis, my biggest thought for you on this, without kind of talking one-on-one through this, is one question is, turning down a small project. If it's from a previous client, right? A previous client, we're going to be much more open to taking on smaller projects and little things for them. We want to continue to enhance and develop that relationship and the know, like, and trust we have with our previous clients, right? But if it's a small project for somebody that we've never worked with before, and we've got a really strong backlog, quote unquote strong, again, that means different things for different people, we might turn that down. So my answer to you, Dennis, is, I want to know how many irons in the fire you have out there. Kyle, we've got 6 things under design and development that I'm feeling really good at. We've got 2.5 months of backlog. I think we're gonna, get from 2.5 up to 4 months of backlog in a hurry. My advice is different than if you said, you know what, we've got 2.5 months of backlog, but I don't have a lot in the hopper. Then, we might continue to push on the small projects. So it depends, right? It depends on these multiple factors, but there's some things to kind of think through. The other thing that I would encourage you, and if you email Bailey at remodelyourmarketing.com, Bailey, I'm asking for people to email you, just a heads up. If you email Bailey at remodelyourmarketing.com and you ask for the spreadsheet for project backlog spreadsheet, or this month, next month, the following month, we'll send that over to you. One of the other things that I would encourage you to do, Dennis, and others to do, is really get clear with this month, next month, and the following month. This month, next month, and the following month. When you have all of your projects that are sold, not that we might sell, and you put those out there and you show how many labor hours you're expecting for each of those different projects. So now I've got a total labor hours of 1,000, and then I have in the spreadsheet, it's got a little formula that says, okay, based on the number of hours that you have sold and that are still remaining, and here's the number of guys you have out in the field. Here's how many weeks and months that you have as far as a backlog goes. When you have that and you're staring at that and you're clear and say, look, I definitely have 2.75 months of backlog, that helps you make a decision. When you're unclear with that and you're just kind of going based on feel and not the facts, then it's a little riskier to turn things down. But once you have the facts, work on a spreadsheet and ask for that spreadsheet, project backlog, Bailey@remodelermarketing.com, and we'll send that to you. Once you have that backlog, now you can make clearer and better decisions. So cool. Is that spread? Yes, Rhonda, that spreadsheet is in the vault. What's the vault, people? Go to Remodelers Vault, VAULT.com, and you can get access to 60 plus templates, tools, resources. So you go that way to find it as well. Sweet.
It's at the very top of the financials page.
It's also at the very top of the financials page. Today's, what do you call it? Sidekick? Is that a sidekick when you do a show? Are you a sidekick or are you a producer?
I prefer producer.
She's a producer. AKA, Kyle, don't ask me to walk over in front of your camera. Thank you very much. Plus, we have to socially distance. All right, excellent. This was from Tate. I'm having trouble delegating some of my work, mostly because I don't have a main office and we do everything remotely. Any ideas? It's a good one, Tate. I don't have a main office and I do everything remotely. Any ideas? So one thing I would do, Tate, this week, and if we were taught, maybe we need to add a little feature, because it wouldn't be hard to bring people live on this. We might do a little bit of that with a little 5P, proper preparation prevents poor performance. We could bring some people live with questions. Because Tate, I would want to hear a little bit more of, well, what are you struggling to delegate? Because once I saw that list, now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, well, for that, do a Zoom meeting. Oh, for that, have them email that directly to, assistant at yourbusiness.com. So there's certain things like that might pop up. Rhonda's mentioning they use a virtual assistant. Tate, what I would encourage you to do is over this week, or think back to last week, what's the list of things that you're struggling to delegate? I would love to see that list, and feel free to you've got my info. Let's have a conversation about it and send me over some details on it. Because I think sometimes we think we can't delegate it, or, oh, that's going to be a pain in the butt. But with a little bit of coaching and a little bit of, hey, you could try this, we can break through that. So make that list. What are you having trouble delegating? Or you can even put in the chat box, give me one example of that. And then I think we might be able to open your eyes to some options that you might have there. All right. Rockin' and a rollin'. Cool. All right, we're going to go back to this, and we're going to go back down to, we got from a coaching call, check. We've got the Ask Kyle Anything, check. We're going to look at this remodeler on the rise. And this is just me kind of going back to the person who was so kind to give an energetic intro to today's show, which was Justin Shipp out in Ventura, California with Meridian Design and Construction. I wanted to tell you a couple things about Justin. When I think of Justin, here are the things I think of. One, he's just really excellent at what he does. I'm sure that I could go on any of your job sites and I would be very, very impressed with the excellence of work and craftsmanship. But I know on Justin's job sites, that is something he just puts way up at the tippy top. Things are done so well. And I think that's a reminder for all of us. How are we doing? We get weary, we get tired, we get wore out. Let this be a reminder. Continue to push for excellence out in the field. It just matters, right? The other big thing for Justin is the Justin Shipp that I met 4 years ago is much different than the Justin Shipp I know now. Now he got married and had a kid. That'll do it to you. But I would say the bigger thing is that he just takes personal development, becoming a better person and husband and now father and business owner. He puts that as a priority in his life. It is very easy to cruise through 5 years and be pretty even keel with improving. He's somebody that reads. He's somebody that listens to podcasts. He's somebody that seeks out training and coaching around a variety of topics because he's always striving to be better. And it shows. So I guess that would be the other thing I want to mention, and that's an encouragement to all of us, is what are you doing right now from a standpoint of personal development, of professional development? How are you becoming a better leader of your business? How are you becoming, maybe on the personal side, a better person of faith, a better husband or wife, a better father or mother? There's a lot of different categories there. Let this be a reminder to put some effort towards that, because that's something that I've noticed and that I'm impressed with and I love about Justin Ship, who gave today's introduction to the Remodeler Show. Cool. All right.
Here's a little thing to implement today.
Here's a little thing to implement today. What is that little thing? Running a successful remodeling business is not about finding some magic bullet or, if I just did this one thing, everything falls into place. It is a combination of doing a lot of little things. Here's today's little thing. Think about the worst part from the client's end of the whole remodeling process. And whatever you think of there, one thing that comes to my mind is you're at the drywall stage. It's super dusty and bleh. It feels like there's not a lot of progress being made at that point. It's kind of like, I don't want to cook tonight, that type of thing. If you just made it part of your process to have a little $50 dinner gift card, maybe to a local restaurant, what a lovely little thing to enhance your overall process of saying, you know what, we really appreciate you as a client. Thank you for your communication, for your help through this process. This is one of those low points in the process, before we start going up and you're seeing some of the finishes and everything going on. We just got you this gift card so that you guys could just get some carry out tonight or just have a night off from cooking. Just something that I've seen some of my clients do that usually elicits a thank you and a smile and an appreciation from your clients. So that's a little thing. Continue to strive after doing the little things. Excellent. Okay. Hi, Joy. I see her on the, she says, hi, I'm sorry I'm late. It's okay. We got 7 minutes left. All right, that was a little thing. We'll go back to see if anybody has any other questions. What type of job do you need to delegate? So I think Rhonda's talking there to Tate. Tate says, my assistant is virtual. Lives 50 miles away, meet in person twice a week. Oh, okay. So you have some potential there to still be handing some things off, which is big. One thing, Tate, here's what I would say again, without knowing a lot of detail, is when was the last time you talked to your virtual assistant and said, how are things going? What should we keep, start, stop? What are things that we should keep doing? What are some things that we should start doing? What are some things that we should stop doing that aren't working? Do a little bit of what's working, what's not about that relationship. Ask her or him, what are some additional things that you kind of note that I'm doing that you might be interested in taking on or able to take on? You make sure both of you are brainstorming this. It sounds like you've got some opportunities to continue to hand things off. So get her or him involved in that and see what they might have to say. All right, cool. All right, this one is called, this part of the Remodeler Show is called
Wondering what Kyle actually does?
What does he
Here's how
do?
he can help.
I'm going to continue to talk about Remodelers Autopilot. If I flip this, this is dangerous. This is dangerous, Kyle. I don't know why you're doing this. Something might unplug. When I flip that around, you see that little wall that has an R and an A. It's spelling out eventually RAP. Everybody that's signed up for Remodelers Autopilot has a little sticky note on that board. Would you like to be a sticky note on my office wall? Then join Remodelers Autopilot. Go to remodelersautopilot.com. For the first month, it's $1. After that, it's $125. And what value do you get from that? You're going to get a done-for-you professional email newsletter. A couple options, actually, to choose from every month. We make it as easy as selecting, adding anything you want to tweak or customize. You click submit. All of the technology, all of the design, all of the actual sending of it, we take care of. And also, similarly, there's 8 social media posts for you to click through, select. You click submit, boom, we schedule those for you on Facebook. Just a very simple way to be taking care of and staying in touch consistently with your previous clients. Be sure to check it out, remodelersautopilot.com. Okay, we got 5. It says 2-minute warning. We're a little ahead of schedule. Oh, we're a little ahead of schedule, but that's because I may have skipped one little part here. Let me see if there are any quick questions, and then I will end with a real specific lesson. This is take on some admin, client communication, sales screening, processes, estimating, just a few items. Training remotely is especially difficult. Make sure you're using Zoom. You know, it's interesting, Tate, because this is the first time Bailey and I have seen each other in a few months, but it wasn't really anything big because we see each other every day via Zoom. It was kind of weird. We're like, wait, are we supposed to be like, hey? We weren't, because we're like, we see each other all the time. You know, that if you're not using Zoom, Tate, and you're seeing each other, that can be a big benefit. But again, I go back to put him or her on the case. What do they have as far as ideas on how to take more off your plate? The other thing you can do, $10, $100, $1,000. You know, are there, as you look at your time and what you're doing, Tate, is there any $10 an hour work, a little bit lower priority, lower value work? Sometimes just identifying those items in throughout your day and figuring out a way to delegate that is also a key thing. Jim says, I added a Slack channel named Thank You Cards, so I don't drop an opportunity to reach out. I will check it weekly. Love it. Love it. I will make tomorrow's show a little bit heavier on this topic that I'm going to mention here now. But I have this topic right here. Where does it say it? Know your numbers. Know your numbers. We don't have a fancy little sound effect for it, but it's something that we haven't dug into too much yet. So I'll just give you a quick little taste of it, and then I'll start tomorrow's show with it. Know your numbers. I don't care if you line up Joy Kilgore, who joined earlier, and what she teaches, Remodelers Advantage, Sean Van Dyke, Brian Kaplan. You just line up any and all consultants and coaches in the remodeling space. Line us all up. Good looking group, by the way. You line us all up and you say, hey, do you guys agree with this statement? You should know your numbers. We'd all be like, yes, yes, please. You've got to know your numbers. You have to know how to read your profit and loss statement. You have to understand and do your job costing. If you have a markup, which you all do, whether it's markup margin, you have to know why you charge what you charge. It has to be well thought out and tested and tried and worked at. If you can't pull up a profit and loss statement and explain to me, hey, here is the top line revenue, here's the cost of goods sold, and have me quiz you on it and say, why is this in cost of goods sold instead of down here? And you can say, well, that's a job related one. We moved that up there 2 years ago. You look into the expenses, you look at your net profit, and then you say, you know, this shows $100,000 net profit, but since it's a P&L, I know that my company, my draws as an owner, my draw payments or my loan payments actually come out of that $100,000 because you study and you understand how to read a P&L statement. So the quick thought there is we need to know our numbers. We need to dig into that, not let that intimidate us. We need to invest time and money and energy into knowing our numbers. Every coach and consultant that works in this industry agrees wholeheartedly with that. We're all saying it, which should be a cue to you to say, they're not all saying it for no reason. It is such a critical part of building a successful and profitable remodeling business. And everybody's at different levels with that. We've got to be watching and knowing our numbers. I'll get specific with that in tomorrow's show of the Remodeler Show, which will be Tuesday at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
It's the 2-minute warning.
It is the 2-minute warning. Can you tell me in the old chat box, what did you learn today? What was a takeaway from today's Remodeler Show? Talk to me, people. I will share mine, which is that reminder of eat your frog. Identify that most important thing that you need to get done today that you're most likely to put off. Identify that and eat that. It's a simple concept and a very important one. John Clark added to that, do the hard things first. Takes dedication, takes patience, but it's an important one. Rhonda echoes it. Eat your frog. Okay, cool. Bailey, have you been listening? Do you have a takeaway from today? She's been working on other things.
That I need to identify my frog for tomorrow at the end of the first
Woo!
day.
She said, I need to identify my frog for tomorrow at the end of today. To end your day, identifying what that is, knowing what that is, so you can hit the ground running the next day. Amy said, don't show up late. But you know what, Amy? I bet you weren't twiddling your thumbs. I bet you were actually doing something. You did show up right at the end, unless you dialed in a little bit earlier. But the good news is you can go back and watch the replays of the Remodeler show on either my YouTube page or on Remodelers Community. And Jim said little things. That reminder, it's the little things. Wonderful. Go out there and implement what you learned today, and we will see you again tomorrow. Mañana.